Good morning, security gang, and welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast, episode 1009. Thank you all for being here. My name is James Azar. I'm the host. I'm a Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you all for being here this morning. Packed show, but today is a special day, not only because it's on November 11th, 2025, it's also Veterans Day, a day near and dear to my heart for a multitude of reasons. But today's the day we get to show our appreciation and thanks to the men and women who volunteered to join the United States Armed Services, who served this country with pride, who have gone through unbelievable sacrifices in order to maintain the Constitution of the United States, in order to maintain the way of life, and we should be forever grateful. They get one day a year. This is today. Happy Veterans Day to everyone tuning in. If you served, thank you. If you're thinking of serving, don't think about it, just do it. There's nothing greater in life than service. Nothing. When you do something for others, it's more rewarding than doing anything for yourself. Every time. When I do something for my wife, for my kids, for my community, I feel a lot more satisfied than doing something for me personally. Every time. It's just me. But you won't believe how much service is really beneficial to helping y'all. Okay. We've got a busy show for all y'all today. So happy Veterans Day. Happy birthday to the Marine Corps yesterday. I forgot to say that on the show. But we're now getting into cybersecurity news because that's the reason you tuned in. And we have a lot to talk about. But before we do that, I did a thing. So I've got a behind the scenes footage, by the way, just so y'all know. I'll post it probably over the weekend. I ordered some Black Rifle Nespresso capsules. Why? Well, it's veteran owned. It's Veterans Day. Everyone knows I love espressos. And I was like, I'm gonna try it. So, smells okay. Doesn't smell Italian. Smells good. I love Italian espresso. So, coffee cup cheers, y'all. So, it's a low intensity espresso. I've got two other packages I'm going to try. And again, back behind the scenes footage. It's okay. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. Let's get into today's show. And we've got the CLOP ransomware gang tagging 30 Oracle e-business suite extortion victims, and the list continues to grow. CLOP's new site now names nearly 30 alleged Oracle EBS victims like Logitech, the Washington Post, Cox Enterprises, Pan American Silver, LKQ, Copeland, and more. The Oracle EBS zero-day spree CVE 2025-61882 and a subsequent high-severity flaw that's CVE 2025-61884 that CISA says is being actively exploited. Even Harvard and Envoy Air have already been called out in prior dumps. Expect more names as more pressure continues to escalate on some of these victims. So we know there was data theft from the ERP system that hits finance, procurement, HR, and even supply chain. There's a bunch of regulatory and legal exposure giving this one, as well as operational risk. And that to me is the biggest risk. See, Marks and Spencer's, Jaguar Land Rover, they would have been fine, but they didn't cover the operational risk. They didn't have the contingencies in place. And that's what led to hundreds and billions of dollars worth of loss. So if you haven't mitigated the Oracle EBS, you should patch both of those CVEs immediately. If you did and you see some unusual activity in your environment, you should rotate your credential and API keys used by EBS. You should review your SSO and SAML trust. You should restrict exposure if possible and hunt for unusual export jobs or even exfil to unsimilar destinations like AI or Teams or anything like that. All of that would come in handy. So KnownSec is one of China's largest direct government cybersecurity firms. It's now experiencing a leak that is exposing state toolkits and target list of the cybersecurity company. Target list. It's Chinese. There you got it. The breach of KnownSec exposed 12,000 internal documents, including offensive tools, code, and even spreadsheets of foreign targets like Japan, India, UK, and more. Copies have been circulating after appearing on GitHub, highlighting the breadth of China-linked cyber collection. Yeah. And whenever you go to work in China, right? Whenever it's one of those things, it's always you got to separate the environments completely. You can't have any sort of crown jewels sitting in China. There's a lot to go into it. The compromised files also showed more than routine business data. There was technical documentation detailing collaboration between KnownSec and various Chinese government departments, complete source code for proprietary internal tools, and even spreadsheets listing 80 overseas targets. So again, significant dump, just showing you how much in bed everything is there in China between the government, private enterprise, and everything else. So anyone's trying to tell you, no, we're private. There's no private business in China. Everything goes through the Chinese Communist Party. Everything does, especially in cyber. And cyber is a warfare tool for the Chinese. It won't stop. Okay, continuing on. CMMC, the DoD cyber rules that hit this defense supply chain are now in full effect and full enforcement as of yesterday. They impact hundreds of thousands of contractors and subcontractors. It aligns with NIST 800, 171, and 172 controls, which will be mandated as awards begin phasing in as of yesterday. You want to start preparing for your third-party assessments and sensitive scopes. Non-compliance would equal lost eligibility, which equals lost revenue, which equals you out of a job. So get prepared. Cost of control implementation and audit readiness are going to rise. If you haven't budgeted for it in 26, you should. There's going to be gap assesses to 800, 171. You should stand up SSP and a few others. You should inventory all of your assets. You should also contractually make sure CMMC flows down to your contractors as well. That's going to be significant. In news of just how useless the last 40 days is in Washington, D.C. has become, Congress is now eyeing the short-term renewal of the 2015 info sharing law. The stopgap to end the shutdown would reauthorize CISA 2015 through January 30th, preserving liability protections for private-public threat intel sharing, while a longer deal is being negotiated. So that is now the government shutdown is almost over. Senate passed it, goes back to the House. Small edits they did do there, and then it goes to President Trump to be signed. The government will go back to funding, and flights go back to being on time. And they'll have to explain next year why they did a shutdown. But this isn't a political show; it's a cyber show. You want to do that, we can do that at a different time. All right. Sorry. We'll continue with the critical RCE and popular JavaScript library. That's CVE 2025-12735. The validation flaw in the parser.evaluate enables remote code execution via malicious input. The fix is in the xbar-eval fork version 3.0.0. The original project hasn't shipped a patch released yet. So any app parsing untrusted math or expressions, this could be fintech, edtech, or even some AI agents, could be compromised given this vulnerability. Should migrate to the patch fork. You should pin versions. Should definitely add input allow listing and scan repos and SBOMs for xbar-eval to make sure you're addressing it. On the show yesterday, we talked about this Samsung zero-day lane fall and the spyware use for it. That's CV 2025-21042. Attackers are now abusing it in order to get 0 days into Samsung phones. CISA adding it to its KEF catalog with a December 1st remediation deadline for all federal civilian agencies. The target includes the Galaxies, the S22, S23, S24, and the Z Fold and Flip. And so, again, Samsung trying to enforce MDM patch compliance. That's going to be significant on your end. You should block unknown DNG attachments, and you should monitor for landfall IOCs and C2 communication, which are stated in the release as well. Google's Mandiant talking about the TrioFox flaw that's being actively exploited. That's CV 2025-12480. Mandiant absorbing the authorization bypass deconfiguration pages. Attackers are creating an admin, then abusing the built-in antivirus path to execute a batch file and deploy Zoho Assist or AnyDesk activity is being tied to UNC 6485. The patch level to mitigate this is 16.7.10368.56560, and that mitigates all of these vulnerabilities there. They could laterally move within your environment and even take over your domain admin escalation. They also have stealthy remote access persistence, so you should update now, audit for rogue cluster admins, and block outbound to noted IPs and hunt for any Adesk or Zoho UEMs installs from TrioFox hosts. That will help mitigate some of that risk for the business as well. So we move to North Korea. APT37 or Kony is abusing Google's FindHub to track and factory reset victim devices. North Korea linked operators are compromising victims via signed MSI lures. They're harvesting Google and Naver creds. Then they use FindHub to geolocate and remote wipe Android devices, disrupting response while hijacking the KakaoTalk desktop sessions to spread. Again, you're looking at data loss, potential social engineering blasts, and even some communication disruptions through messaging apps. So you want to enforce MFA on Google and Naver. You should restrict MSI execution and monitor for RIMCOs or QSR or RFT RAT and alert any remote Android wipes from the web immediately. And we'll move to this report from Wiz here that analyzed Forbes' AI 50 companies leaking secrets on GitHub. Wiz found credentials, model endpoints, data sets, and even internal configs in public repositories mapping to model theft and data exposure risks. Any sort of IP loss or even brand reputational hit could be significant, especially given the rapid adoption of AI. You could have some compliance exposure if PII is in some of these training sets, which could lead to reporting obligations. You should turn on secret scanning and also push for protection. You should rotate some of those leaked keys. You should separate public and private repos and use pre-commit hooks and DLP on CI/CD in order to ensure you don't become a victim of all of that. So all of that comes into play. That's it for our show today. Quick, swift. We're on the road over the next few days, so the show will be pre-recorded, posted. Make sure to check it out. Again, go check out cyberhubpodcast.com on YouTube. We're close to 13,000 as I record this morning. So please, if you haven't subscribed there, please go. We could use to break the 13,000 subscriber mark on our YouTube account. You can go and check out cyberhubpodcast.com. My latest article, Regulation Spend and the Illusion of Security, why we should move to a more market-based regulatory framework in cyber, specifically something like CMMC could be used as a great building block to force better behavior within industry. Until then, thank you all for tuning in this morning. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.